Kendo is a modern Japanese martial art, which descended from swordsmanship and uses bamboo swords and protective armor. Today, it is widely practiced within Japan and many other nations across the world. Kendo is an activity that combines martial arts practices and values with strenuous sport-like physical activity. History. Swordsmen in Japan established schools of kenjutsu, which continued for centuries and which form the basis of kendo practice today. The formal kendo exercises known as kata were developed several centuries ago as kenjutsu practice for warriors. They are still studied today, in a modified form. The introduction of bamboo practice swords and armor to sword training is attributed to Naganuma Shiraziman Kunisato during the Shotoku era. Naganuma developed the use of bogu and established a training method using the shinai. In addition, the inscription on the gravestone of Yamada Haseman Mitsunori's (1638–1718) third son Naganuma Shiraziman Kunisato, the eighth headmaster of the Kashima Shindenji Kishinkaju Kenjutsu, states that his exploits included improving the bikato and shinai, and refining the armor by adding a metal grill to the men and thick cotton protective coverings to the coat. Kunisato inherited the tradition from his father Haseman in 1708. And the two of them worked hard together to improve the bogu until Haseman's death. Chiba Shusakunari Masa, founder of the Hokushin Itoyu Hyoho, introduced Gekkoken to the curriculum of this Koru in the 1820s. Due to the popularity and the large number of students of the Hokushin Itoyu Hyoho at the end of the Edo period, this kind of practice contributed greatly to the spread of shinai and bogu all over Japan. Also, there are many waza like Sayage men, oikomi men, etc. in modern kendo which were originally Hokushin Itoyu techniques, named by Chiba Shusakunari Masa for his school. After the Meiji Restoration in the late 1800s, Sakakibara Kenkichi popularized public Gekkoken for commercial gain, but also generated an increased interest in kendo and kenjutsu as a result. The DNBK changed the name of the sporting form of swordsmanship, called Gekkoken, to Kendo in 1920. Kendo was banned in Japan in 1946 by the occupying powers. This was part of the removal and exclusion from public life of militaristic and ultra-nationalistic persons, in response to the wartime militarization of martial arts instruction in Japan. The DNBK was also disbanded. Kendo was allowed to return to the curriculum in 1950 and then as Kendo from 1952. The All Japan Kendo Federation was founded in 1952. Immediately after Japan's independence was restored and the ban on martial arts in Japan was lifted. It was formed on the principle of Kendo not as a martial art but as educational sport, and it has continued to be practiced as such to this day. The International Kendo Federation was founded in April 1970. It is an international federation of national and regional kendo federations, and the world governing body for kendo. The FIK is a non-governmental organization, and its aim is to promote and popularize kendo, aido and jodo. The International Martial Arts Federation, established in Kyoto 1952, was the first international organization after World War II to promote the development of martial arts worldwide. Today, IMAF includes kendo as one of the Japanese disciplines. Practitioners of kendo are called kendaka, meaning someone who practices kendo, or occasionally kenshi, meaning swordsman. The old term of kendoists is sometimes used. The Kodansha Meibo shows that as of September 2007, there were 1.48 million registered downgraded kendaka in Japan. According to the survey conducted by the All Japan Kendo Federation, the number of active kendo practitioners in Japan is 477,000, in which 290,000 dan holders are included. From these figures, the All Japan Kendo Federation estimates that the number of Kendaka in Japan is 1.66 million, with over 6 million practitioners worldwide. By adding the number of the registered Dan holders and the active Kendo practitioners without Dan grade, concept and purpose. In 1975, the All Japan Kendo Federation developed then published the concept and purpose of Kendo, which is reproduced below. Concept: Kendo is a way to discipline the human character through the application of the principles of the katana. Purpose: to mold the mind and body, to cultivate a vigorous spirit, and through correct and rigid training, to strive for improvement in the art of Kendo, to hold in esteem human courtesy and honor, to associate with others with sincerity, and to forever pursue the cultivation of oneself. Thus will one be able to love one's country and society, to contribute to the development of culture, and to promote peace and prosperity among all peoples. Equipment and clothing. Kendo is practiced wearing a traditional Japanese style of clothing, protective armor, and using one or, less commonly, two shinai. Shinai, bukato, men, do, tear, coat, armor and clothing components. Equipment. The shinai is meant to represent a Japanese sword and is made up of 4 bamboo slats, which are held together by leather fittings. A modern variation of a shinai with carbon fiber reinforced resin slats is also used. Kendaka also use hardwood and swords to practice kata. Kendo employs strikes involving both one edge and the tip of the shinai or bukato. Protective armor is worn to protect specified target areas on the head, arms and body. The head is protected by a stylized helmet, called men, with a metal grill to protect the face. A series of hard leather and fabric flaps to protect the throat, and padded fabric flaps to protect the side of the neck and shoulders. The forearms, wrists, and hands are protected by long, thickly padded fabric gloves called coat. The torso is protected by a breastplate, while the waist and groin area is protected by the tear, consisting of 3 thick vertical fabric flaps, or folds. Clothing. The clothing worn under the bogu comprise a jacket and hakama, a garment separated in the middle to form 2 wide trouser legs. A cotton towel is wrapped around the head, under the men, to absorb perspiration and provide a base for the men to fit comfortably. Modern practice. Kendo training is quite noisy in comparison to some other martial arts or sports. This is because Kendaka use of shout, or kirai, to express their fighting spirit when striking. Additionally, Kendaka execute fumakomi-ashi, an action similar to a stamp of the front foot, when making a strike. Like some other martial arts, Kendaka train and fight barefoot. Kendo is ideally practiced in a purpose-built dojo, though standard sports halls and other venues are often used. An appropriate venue has a clean and well-sprung wooden floor, suitable for fumakomi-ashi. Kendo techniques comprise both strikes and thrusts. Strikes are only made towards specified target areas on the wrists, head, or body, all of which are protected by armor. The targets are men, sayu men or yoko men, the right coat at any time, the left coat when it is in a raised position, and the left or right side of the do. Thrusts are only allowed to the throat. However, since an incorrectly performed thrust could cause serious injury to the opponent's neck, thrusting techniques in free practice and competition are often restricted to senior dan-graded Kendaka. Kendaka perform sonkyo after combat. 2 Kendaka in Subazeria. Kendo target areas, or Daitotsu Bui. 2 Kendaka, one is playing in Nito and the other is playing in Ito. Once a Kendaka begins practice in armor, a practice session may include any or all of the following types of practice. Kirikeashi, striking the left and right man target points in succession, practicing centering, distance, and correct technique. while building spirit and stamina. WAZA Gaiko WAZA, or technique practice, in which the student learns and refines that techniques of Kendo with a receiving partner. Kakari Gaiko, short, intense, attack practice, which teaches continuous alertness and readiness to attack, as well as building spirit and stamina. Jigaiko, undirected practice, where the Kendaka tries all that has been learned during practice against an opponent. Gokaku Gaiko, practice between two Kendaka of similar skill level. Hikate Gaiko, practice where a senior Kendaka guides a junior through practice. Shirai Gaiko, competition practice, which may also be judged. Techniques. Techniques are divided into Shikaki Waza and Oji Waza. Kendaka who wish to use such techniques during practice or competitions often practice each technique with a motodaki. This is a process that requires patience. First practicing slowly, and then as familiarity and confidence builds, the Kendaka and motodaki increase the speed to matching competition level. Shikaki Waza. These attack techniques are used to create tsuki in an opponent by initiating an attack, or strike boldly when your opponent has created a tsuki. Such techniques include Tobakomi Waza. This is a technique used when one's opponent has weak kisei or when they yield a tsuki under pressure. Always hold kisei and strike quickly. Hikabana Waza. Body and shinai will lose balance as you strike or when being attacked. This technique takes advantage of this to help execute a strike. A good example is Hikabana coat, when a strike is made to an opponent's coat as they feel threatened and raise their kenzan as you push forward. Katsugi Waza. This provides a surprise attack by lifting the shinai over your shoulder before striking. Here a skillful use of the kenzan and spirited attack is crucial for effective Katsugi Waza, or luring your opponent into breaking her posture. Nidden Waza. There are two types. The first is for moving to the next Waza after a failed first strike, and the second holds your opponent's attention and posture to create the tsuki for a second strike. The former requires a continuous rhythm of correct strikes. The latter requires continuous execution of Waza to take advantage of your opponent's tsuki. Harai Waza. This can be used if one's opponent's karma has no tsuki when your opponent tries to attack. Your opponent's shinai is either knocked down from above or swept up from below with a resulting strike just when her karma is broken. Debana Waza. This technique involves striking your opponent as you realize she is about to strike. This is because their concentration will be on striking and their posture will have no flexibility to respond. Thus Debana Waza is ideal. This can be to any part of your opponent's body, with valid strikes being Debana men, Debana coat, and Debana tsuki. Ogwaza. These counter-attack techniques are performed by executing a strike after responding or avoiding an attempted strike by your opponent. This can also be achieved by inducing the opponent to attack, then employing one of the Ogwaza, Nuki Waza, avoiding an attack from another, then instantly responding. Here, timing has to be correct. A response that is too slow or fast may not be effective. Therefore, close attention to an opponent's every move is required. Suryaj Waza. If struck by an opponent's shinai, this technique sweeps up their shinai in a rising slide motion, with the right or left side of the shinai. Then strike in the direction of their shinai, or at the tsuki resulting from their composure's collapse. This technique needs to be smooth. That is, don't separate the rising slide motion and the upward sweeping motion or it will not be successful. Valid strikes include men suryaj men, coat suryaj men, coat suryaj coat, and tsuki suryaj men. Uchi otashi Waza. This Waza knocks an opponent's shinai to the right or left. This neutralizes a potential strike and gives the ideal chance to strike as an opponent is off balance. For success, an opponent's MAAI has to be correctly perceived, and then one knocks down their shinai before their arm fully extends. Valid examples are Du-uchi otoshi men and Tsuki-uchi otoshi men. Keishi waza. This technique is a response. As an opponent strikes, you parry their shinai with yours. Then flip over and strike their opposite side. Valid strikes include menkeishi men, menkeishi coat, menkeishi do, coat keishi men, coat keishi coat, and do keishi men. Rules of competition. A scoreable point in a kendo competition is defined as an accurate strike or thrust made onto a daitotsu bui of the opponent's kendo gu with the shinai making contact at its daitotsu bu. The competitor displaying high spirits, correct posture, and followed by zanshin. Daitotsu bui or point scoring targets in kendo are defined as men bu, the top or sides of the head protector; coat bu, a padded area of the right or left wrist protector; do bu, an area of the right or left side of the armor that protects the torso; tsuki bu, an area of the head protector in front of the throat. Daitotsu bu of the shinai is the forward, or blade side of the top third of the shinai. Zanshin, or continuation of awareness, must be present and shown throughout the execution of the strike, and the kendoka must be mentally and physically ready to attack again. In competition, there are usually 3 referees. Each referee holds a red flag and a white flag in opposing hands. To award a point, a referee raises the flag corresponding to the color of the ribbon worn by the scoring competitor. Usually at least 2 referees must agree for a point to be awarded. The match continues until a pronouncement of the point that has been scored. Kendo competitions are usually a 3-point match. The first competitor to score 2 points, therefore wins the match. If the time limit is reached and only one competitor has a point, that competitor wins. In the case of a tie, there are several options. Hikiwake. The match is declared a draw. Incho. The match is continued until either competitor scores a point. Hante. The victor is decided by the referees. The 3 referees vote for victor by each raising one of their respective flags simultaneously. International Kendo competition. The World Kendo Championships have been held every 3 years since 1970. They are organized by the International Kendo Federation with the support of the host nation's Kendo Federation. The European Championship is held every year, except in those years in which there is a World Championship. Kendo is also one of the martial arts in the World Combat Games. Advancement. Grades. Technical achievement in Kendo is measured by advancement in grade, rank or level. The Kyu-dan grading system, created in 1883, is used to indicate one's proficiency in Kendo. The Dan levels are from 1st Dan to 10th Dan. There are usually 6 grades below 1st Dan, known as Kyu. The Kyu numbering is in reverse order, with 1st Kyu being the grade immediately below 1st Dan, and 6th Kyu being the lowest grade. There are no visible differences in dress between Kendo grades. Those below Dan level may dress the same as those above Dan level. 8th Dan is the highest Dan grade attainable through a test of physical Kendo skills. In the AJKF, the grades of 9th Dan and 10th Dan are no longer awarded, but 9th Dan Kendoka is still active in Japanese Kendo. International Kendo Federation grading rules allow national Kendo organizations to establish a special committee to consider the award of those grades. All candidates for examination face a panel of examiners. A larger, more qualified panel is usually assembled to assess the higher Dan grades. Kendo examinations typically consist of jitsugi, a demonstration of the skill of the applicants, Nippon Kendo Kata, and a written exam. The 8th Dan Kendo exam is extremely difficult, with a reported pass rate of less than 1%. Titles can be earned in addition to the above Dan grades by Kendoka of a defined Dan grade. These are Renshi, Kyoshi, and Hanshi. The title is affixed to the front of the Dan grade when said, for example Renshi Roku Dan. The qualifications for each title are below. Kata. kata are fixed patterns that teach Kendaka the basic elements of swordsmanship. The kata include fundamental techniques of attacking and counter-attacking, and have useful practical application in general Kendo. There are 10 Nippon Kendo kata. These are generally practiced with wooden swords. Occasionally, real swords or swords with a blunt edge, called kata-yo or habaki, may be used for display of kata. All are performed by two people, the ukidachi, the teacher, and shidachi, the student. The ukidachi makes the first move or attack in each kata. As this is a teaching role, the ukidachi is always the losing side, thus allowing the shidachi to learn and to gain confidence. Kata 1 to 7 are performed with both partners using a normal length wooden sword. Kata 8 to 10 are performed with ukidachi using a normal length weapon and shidachi using a shorter one. The forms of the Nippon Kendo kata were finalized in 1933 based on the Dai Nippon Teikoku Kendo kata, composed in 1912. It is impossible to link the individual forms of Dai Nippon Teikoku Kendo kata to their original influences, although the genealogical reference diagram does indicate the masters of the various committees involved, and it is possible from this to determine the influences and origins of Kendo and the kata. In 2003, the All Japan Kendo Federation introduced Bakato ni Yoru Kendo Kipon Wazak Koho, a set of basic exercises using a bakato. This form of practice is intended primarily for Kendaka up to 2nd Dan, but is very useful for all Kendo students which are organized under FIK. Kata can also be treated as competitions where players are judged upon their performance and technique.